All right, let's talk about the one thing, the biggest thing, that's held electric cars back for years. You know what I'm talking about, range anxiety. That little voice in your head asking, will I make it? Well, what if I told you that whole problem might be over?
Yeah, look at that number, 1,500 kilometers. Let that sink in for a second. That's the claimed range on one single charge. To give you an idea of what that actually means, that's like driving from Beijing all the way to Shanghai and still having plenty of juice left to drive around the city when you get there. It's just a massive number.
So you have to ask, right? Is this it? Is this the end of range anxiety for good? The car that's making this huge promise is called the Exeed Hunting Wind, or Liefeng, from Chery's high-end brand. And the reason it can do this? Well, it's got a secret weapon, a totally revolutionary piece of tech.
And that secret is something called the Rhino S battery. Now let's be clear, we are not talking about a small tweak or some minor improvement. No, this is a fundamental, ground-up shift in how batteries are made. It's the kind of thing that could literally change everything for EVs.
So what even is a solid-state battery? Honestly, the concept is pretty simple. You know how current batteries have this liquid or gel inside, the electrolyte, that separates the positive and negative sides? Well, in a solid-state battery, you just replace that gooey stuff with a solid material. That's it. And in this case, Chery's big bet is on something called a solid polymer oxide.
And the difference this makes, it's night and day. The old way, with that liquid electrolyte, it's flammable, it's heavy, and it absolutely hates the cold. This new solid-state method, though, it's not flammable, it's way lighter, and, this is a big one, it's totally stable even when it's freezing outside. That's the magic trick right there. That's what unlocks this huge leap in energy density.
And when I say a leap, I mean a huge leap. Your typical EV battery right now gets you about, 270 watt-hours per kilogram? The Rhino S battery, a mind-blowing 600. We're talking more than double the power in the same amount of space. Or you could have the same amount of power in a battery that's way smaller and lighter. That is how you get that insane range.
But here's the thing. It's not just about the miles. That's just a headline. This new tech actually goes after some of the biggest, most annoying problems that have been bugging electric car owners for years. It's like it solves a whole bunch of issues all at once.
So what does this actually mean for you when you're behind the wheel? Well, for starters, it means your battery actually works when it's freezing cold, like minus 30 Celsius cold. No more of that dreaded winter range drop that can steal like 40% of your battery. Plus, it's basically non-flammable, which is a massive win for safety. And because that internal structure is so stable and solid, it can handle ultra-fast charging without breaking a sweat.
And to prove they weren't kidding about safety, Chery did something, well, kind of crazy. They took a working battery cell, live, and drilled a hole right through it. Think about that. They punctured it, damaged it badly, and it just kept on working. Kept powering the car. No fire, no explosion, nothing. That's a whole new level of safety.
Okay, so when your battery is that tough and that safe, it gives the engineers a lot of confidence. They don't have to just worry about making it go far. They can start to really unleash its power. And believe me, they did. Because this Exeed Hunting Wind, it's an absolute monster. It's basically a supercar hiding in a station wagon's body.
Let's just geek out on the performance for a second. You've got an 800-volt system, which means super fast charging. The motor spins up to 30,000 RPM, which is just wild. All that power means it goes from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in under 3 seconds, and it'll top out at 260. So yeah, this is not your typical long-range cruiser. This is a serious performance car.
All right, so let's take a breath. A 1,500-kilometer range, supercar speed, next-level safety. It all sounds almost too good to be true, right? So we have to ask the big question. Is this all just marketing hype, or is this something we're actually going to be able to buy anytime soon?
Well, Chery has put a plan out there. They're saying that in 2026, they're going to start rolling these out in small, targeted fleets. Think ride-sharing cars, rental cars, places where they can really gather a ton of real-world data. Then, if all of that goes well, they're aiming for full-on mass production to kick off in 2027.
But we do need a little dose of reality here. At a recent big battery conference, a lot of experts in the field were pretty quick to pump the brakes. They're saying, hey, there are still some huge technical and manufacturing challenges to sort out. Making sure every single battery is perfect, getting the cost down, and meeting all the safety rules when you're making millions of them, that's the really hard part.
So that's where we are. We've got this incredible, revolutionary promise on one hand. The tech seems to be real, at least in the lab. It really feels like this next big leap for EVs is right around the corner. The only question, the big question, is when.
Hey, thanks so much for joining me for this breakdown. This really could be a game-changing moment for electric cars, and you can bet we'll be keeping a very close eye on it. Thanks for listening.